I don't know what to make of all this. I've been having these dreams involving someone whose name I won't say. I won't say the relationship between us, but I'll call her Dorian for the sake of this story. I miss Dorian. It started back in 8th grade. My dream shifted from something else right before waking up, and the next thing I knew, I went to the classroom before heading out to go home. I just wanted to say hi to Dorian. As I expected, there was nobody there but her, and half of the lights in the classroom were off. I greeted her, and just as she responded, she walked over to me and did something I didn't expect. She kissed me on the forehead. The next dream happened 10 years later, and once again, it shifted from one dream to the very last. I was at her house for some reason. I was hiding under the kitchen table, and the dream quickly showed why, at least to a certain extent. A cop came, pulled me out from under the table, and handcuffed me, and that's when I saw Dorian, and her sister, whom I've never met, sitting at a different table. Dorian approached me and told me that I stole something from her. I kept telling her that I didn't, but she kept insisting otherwise. The cops searched all my pockets and my backpack, but didn't find any stolen items. I really genuinely didn't take anything, but despite the lack of proof, the cop took her word for it and took me away. She didn't even say what it was that I stole. She didn't seem mad either. Her demeanor was completely calm, but that was the end of that dream. The next one happened a short time later. I was at school, in the classroom, even though I'm an adult now. Dorian was there too. I went over to her, but I was immediately met with confusion. She was bawling her eyes out. I asked her what was wrong, and after she told me, all I could think to do was give her a hug, and afterwards sat back down, wanting to write something for her. To tell her about how I felt for all these years, and how it haunted me. The next dream happened a few months later, and once again, it was the very last dream right before waking up. This time, Dorian took me down to her basement, and I quickly learned why. She asked if I would be willing to stay down there all night until morning. I don't even know if she said why. I don't even think she said why, but without giving much thought, I agreed to it because I really just didn't want to say no to her. Her basement was large, very large, but larger than I previously thought. I just didn't realize it right away. With white floors, white walls, and it was completely white from top to bottom. Dorian made it very clear that I had to stay down there until morning, which I understood. Did I really want to stay down there? No, I did not. I didn't really want to stay down there, but I didn't want to upset her because that's what I was afraid of for some reason. Dorian left the basement and closed the door, and to my surprise, she also turned off the lights. I didn't know why she did that, but before I knew it, I was all alone in that large, now dark basement, and I had hours ahead of me before I could even come out. The basement had a bluish darkness to it, so it wasn't exactly pitch black. I could see just enough to walk around without bumping into anything. I started walking around the basement. The basement had a lot of doors and a hallway, and walking down the hallway only led to more doors and hallways. Every single door was halfway open, and inside every single room was pitch black darkness. I didn't want to go inside any of those rooms. I just started walking down the halls. And as I walked there were more doors, and as I walked, there were more doors and more hallways. So I started walking deeper into the basement. I soon realized that doing so was a mistake, because I eventually got lost and ended up deeper and lower in the basement as I tried to find my way back. I remember feeling like I was in a hole at one point, as the basement seemed to have had a lower level to it, and I came across what looked like a window, only without the glass, in a very small space, with the wall leading up to it being slightly slanted. I could see the basement door through the window, It wasn't really a window, but that's just what it looked like. And I tried climbing the slanted wall just out of desperation, wanting to get out the door so badly, wanting to get to the door so badly. That of course failed miserably, so I had no choice but to continue walking. As some time passed, I did find my way back to the door. I wanted to get the hell out of that basement, but that did come with another problem. Two problems, actually. The basement door was very loud, so I knew if I opened it, Dorian would hear it, and I somehow knew that she would be angry if I left the basement before morning, and for some reason that terrified me. But the next problem terrified me even more. The door itself. It wasn't your typical basement door. It closely resembled an attic door. It was an access door. It was on the basement ceiling, something I've never actually seen in real life before. I didn't know how to open it, and I of course couldn't reach it. And I was already filled with anxiety, but by that point I was starting to panic. I just felt trapped, like there was literally no way out without her letting me out. And that wasn't going to be until morning. I couldn't even turn on the light because the light switch was on the outside of the basement. Still, I kept searching for any possible way to open the door, feeling around on the walls in the dark because it was too dark to see anything that would be on the wall. Surely somewhere there had to be a button, a rope, something. I did eventually find something, and just as I did, this big black dog suddenly appeared out of nowhere, walking towards me, but didn't actually come to me. I heard its nails tapping on the floor as it walked. And that's when I looked, and there it was. I immediately knew it didn't pose a threat though, so I didn't pay any attention to it. What I found was close enough to a rope. There was some sort of hook on the wall that it was hanging from, and it was there in a very specific way. I unraveled the rope, quickly realizing I unraveled it far too soon, because I wouldn't have any way of putting it back the way it was. And I knew if she saw it, she would know that I thought about leaving, and I knew she'd be pissed, even if I didn't actually attempt to leave. Now I had to decide if I was really willing to leave and piss her off, or be able to regain my composure and stay and piss her off in the morning when she sees that rope. But before I could even think about what my next move was gonna be, that's when I heard creaking above the ceiling, getting closer. Somebody was coming. Likely her, and I was not looking forward to seeing her reaction when she saw that rope. And that's when I woke up with my heart pounding for real. Okay, I had another dream last night. This time I was at the middle school I attended, where I knew Dorian. I don't know why I was there, but I was there with an unknown individual, and at one point we were in the gym, and at another point we were in the classroom. Of course I couldn't be there without thinking about Dorian, who I missed so much. And I was contemplating on whether or not it was a good idea to show my face to her. And being there wasn't helping, because I didn't know if she was there or not. My curiosity got the best of me. I had to at least see if she was there, and only then would I be able to determine what my next move was going to be. Whether to confront her or walk away. So I started my search for the classroom, though that did come with a problem though. I hadn't been to that middle school in like 10 years, so I wasn't even sure if I remembered how to get there. I separated from the individual I was with and started to search, and after roaming around in the hallways for a while in that huge building, I was starting to feel lost, until I found the cafeteria. I was met with relief because I knew, and even though I wasn't there yet, I was confident I could find it by that point because I knew I wasn't far. I went upstairs and I took a right turn and started walking down the hallway. I knew for a fact that based on memory, the classroom would be at the far end of the hall and there would be a staircase right next to it. When I got to the end of the hallway, I was so sure that I found it. I knew I found it. The door was closed, I didn't want to just open it because if she wasn't there, I didn't want to interact with anyone I didn't know. The lights in the classroom were completely off. I could see that because there was a window. I decided to look through that window. And I got down on my knees because for whatever reason, I didn't think anyone in there would see me that way, looking through the window like a creep. And I was definitely starting to feel like one. It really just didn't feel right. The classroom was mostly empty, but I did see one person there. Someone was sitting at the desk. Was it her? Maybe, but that's the thing though. I couldn't tell. It was too dark. I couldn't make out any facial features. I could tell that it was a female, but I couldn't make out any other details. It was kind of eerie. It was kind of an eerie sight. I mean, she looked like a shadow figure. The only light was the natural lighting seeping in through the windows that looked out to the outside, and it didn't provide much light at all. I was surrounded by people up until that point, but the minute I got upstairs, there was nobody around. It was dead silence. I didn't see one single person on that upstairs floor. And as far as I could see, I think all the doors were closed. It was dead silent and nobody was around, which only added to the eerie side. It just made it more creepy. I felt deep down that it was indeed her, but because I didn't know for certain, there was no way I was going to interact with whoever was in there. Feeling disappointed and creeped out, I had no choice but to just leave. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks, guys.